Hey, this is Kevin again. Sorry, it's been a while since I put up a video, but summer's over, time to get cracking. This is about the Indian army, or classical Indian army, under Porus, king of what is Punjab today. So Porus, he did not bend his knee to Alexander, instead decided that he would fight him. And he has been attributed to being a warrior with exceptional skills. And he fought Alexander about 326 BC on what today is the Jhelum River, or the Hydaspes. You know, you think it's kind of real jungle-esque, but it's kind of more flat with a big river. And Alexander moved his armies to Punjab and secretly crossed the river at night, moved his forces down, and arrayed himself opposite Porus. And the battle began between these two giants. And of course it was, phalanx against bow and cavalry against cavalry and Indian elephants, and very, very colorful, and it was just mayhem. But, Alexander, this was one of the toughest battles that he fought. There wasn't a lot of casualties on the Macedonian side, but I think they had a lot of respect for Porus at the end. In fact, Porus was one of the only coins that Alexander minted, I think in 324 of his victory, of him and Bucephalus fighting King Porus on the elephant. But Alexander lost his horse, his beloved horse, during this battle, and because of that created a city right there on the spot where Bucephalus died, called Bucephalus Alexandria, and created Nicaea Alexandria at the site of the battle. But it was quite an ordeal. And so let's take a look at what those armies across from each other might have looked like. But let's take a look at the Indian one. So the Indian army is very, very colorful, and I tried to make it look colorful. It's really hard to find sources on what they might have looked like. So I went to manuscripts, carpets, rugs, temples that they've recolored again, and found that the colors in India were unbelievably rich and beautiful. So each figure here was painted based on a rug that I found, or a manuscript, drawings, temple drawings, and so each one is unique and done by hand. So it was a labor of love. I really enjoyed painting this army. It's massive. I just couldn't stop painting elephants because I just thought that they were so beautiful, each one with its own unique design. But the elephants I found from the new Z range from museum to be particularly beautiful. Their poses, just how they looked, animated, really nice. Also from xyston, they're also very, very nice. I just chose to do a little bit something different and use the new museum. So the army is based on what I could find for historical references. I used the new Z range museum miniatures. I used xyston, and mixed the two with some old Glory to give some variations in the bow. So it kind of was, I mixed three different companies together. I still have some Indian cavalry from xyston on the table that I need to paint up. I just lost a little bit of impetus, and we'll get to those here over the next month or so. But as you can see, each unit is uniquely painted. I tried to use colors, deep colors of red, turquoise, orange. And this is the first time I actually took a color palette to see what colors blended and matched with each other, and used those, this color wheel, on the different pieces. And you'll notice that the colors blend very well with each other because of the color wheel. So going into each unit in particular is a little bit difficult to do, but I tried to give a good blend between spear, longbow, some different foot units that weren't actually at the Battle of Hydaspes, but belonged to a classic Indian army. And a lot of elephants, heavy chariots, light chariots, and different kinds of cavalry formation. So you'll see by the pictures that they're actually quite unique. It wasn't easy to paint. I'll say that. I had there was many times that I had to go back and repaint, especially on the chariots, the front, or the blankets of the elephants that just didn't optically look right. And I tell you, as a freelance painter, to try to get objects painted exactly like diamonds and squares and making them look perfect is definitely not my forte. But I tried, and I think you can see by the different pieces that, well, somehow it came together. And if you stand 2 or 3 feet away, it looks pretty good. That's one of my favorite chariots there, one of the sub-generals that I painted. And that heavy chariot unit there, that's some of my favorite work that I've done on these chariots. I had a lot of fun putting the foot units together. As you can see, the longbow was difficult to try to get a color I wanted for this bamboo longbow. So I went more lighter to give a little bit of a striking balance. And I didn't go the route that most people you see do with their Indian armies. They paint more dark-skinned Indians, almost black. And because of the Punjab and the region, I went with more of a lighter skin tones. And I think with a few dark skin tones kind of mixed in, but I think it really represents the army better of what they would have looked like if you go to people that live in Punjab even today and matching their skin tones. That's how I tried to paint the army. It was not based on fantasy or looking at what other people have done, but actually looking at who lives there today, what colors do they wear today, what do their religious festivals look like today, and the colors that they have. And I did a lot of research, just digging in, and then, of course, finding that balance of what I wanted my army to look like. And if you see it, it is really quite fantastic. You can see I'm putting it into different environments here, but I think all in all, it turned out the way that I wanted this Indian army to look, and it is on the playing table. It's quite ferocious if done and used correctly, if you can balance this combined arms. Porus was, if we look at him, he was a really, really good general. And unfortunately, a lot of troops that he wanted for this battle didn't arrive until much later. And when they arrived, they basically bent the knee to Alexander. You know, this pitched battle fought by Alexander the Great on this banks of the Hydaspes River, you have to realize was the closest Alexander the Great came to defeat. And his companion cavalry couldn't pull it off. And it really was the high mark and the high water mark for Alexander. This was the most difficult battle that Alexander had fought in all of his years. So we have to give that to the Indian army and to Porus, that he was able to give him the battle he so sought.